Every time I have to play a good, positive character, I think of dogs, like cute puppies, sweet dogs. And every time I have to play a negative character, I think of cats. I don't know why. It's like, wow! It doesn't mean that there aren't any good cats or bad dogs in the world, but we go by a general sense of bias on most things in life. These biases are coming directly from your parents, family, school friends, college buddies, and of course your work colleagues. Each one of us are raised with these biases. Our parents at home and our teachers in school teach us the right way and the wrong way, and also which God to pray. The term neural networks is deeply human. The same concept that helped AI leapfrog ahead of what it's previously capable of is learnt by repetition and hit and trial. Our brains are live wired to grasp information from our environment, unlike most animals that are hardwired, because they have to survive immediately as soon as they're born. So let's talk about our biases. I'm going to ask you a question. What is the first thing you do when you meet somebody? Usually ask their name, right? What's your name? My name is Harmanjeet Singh Singha. Oh, bale bale, Punjabi hai, happy go lucky type hoga, right? That's the first impression I get. So you have put me in a box that I'd like to call Punjabi people. Second question, what do you do? I'm in the merchant navy, I'm training to be an officer. अच्छा बहुत पैसा होगा इसके पास तो. So you put me in the stack, in the box of working class, जो dollar, pound में कमाते हैं. These are just biases that keep happening without us even knowing. We are very quick to categorize human beings by knowing very little about them. It's that voice in our head that's always forming our opinions, guiding us, and more often than not, helping us make very, very important decisions. कि खाने में सब्जी खाऊं या पास्ता? How does this voice work? What's causing it to say all these things to us? And why is it so inconsistent? It grows from बहुत ठंड है, बाद में नहा लेंगे. Or when you're feeling intellectual. You know, if America elected Bernie Sanders, the world would have been a better place. Our thoughts are non-stop, they're out of control, they're running at the speed of sound. And a lot of us, I'm not saying all of us, but a lot of us are just traversing this noise without any form of control. As soon as we get something uncomfortable in this noise, we just switch to an external stimuli. Instagram, YouTube, WhatsApp, the list goes on. Right there, in that very moment, you've lost something precious, something that the older generations naturally had and possibly didn't value either. Boredom. Have you heard of this word? It used to be a thing. It's called boredom. The ability to sit with yourself, to not do anything, to not say anything, and hopefully not think much. The art, I call it an art because it is an art. The art of getting bored and coming up with some profound melodies on a guitar, or a random doodle that turns into an artistic masterpiece. Taking hours to write a letter conveying a very important message or a feeling to someone special. This was a luxury that the previous generations had. They had too much time, not enough ways to pass it. We live in the opposite world. We have too much to do, but we have very little time. But the hours of the clock haven't changed. The sun, the tide, the forest, animals, fish, they haven't changed either. Except for that one octopus on YouTube who plays the piano. Have you seen that? Probably an alien. Why does the world feel different from what it used to be? How do you discover who you really are? And how to be real in what seems like a fake digital world? Let's try and answer these three questions very simply. The world is the same odd ball in the sky, rotating around the sun, revolving on its own axis. Isn't it natural that if the sun is our center, the earth centers itself around the sun, we could also try to do the same? Watch the sunset, watch it rise, watch it set, in silence or in the middle of chaos. For a nocturnal person, find the moon if that's your thing. Find something in nature that gives you a feeling of being centered. When you feel centered, you can then begin the journey within to tear apart layers of prejudice, biases, pressures, and timelines. Shut your eyes. Shut them right now. I urge you. All of you, shut your eyes. Sir, you also. Try and listen. From the corners of your brain, messages are trying to reach you. The stuff you can't hear because you're too busy scrolling, too busy watching. That is your subconscious saying, hello, old friend. I'm right here. When you need me, in those moments of confusion, despair, pain, loss, heartbreak, I'll help you. Every time you fall, I'll help you stand back up. I'll give you 10 seconds of silence. Just shut your eyes. Try to hear the voice. And whenever you're ready, slowly open your eyes. Hi guys, welcome back. See, you have to dictate the pace. You have to set the rhythm and find your focus. I've lost it many times in life. I've been so scattered for so many years, so many times that I can't even tell you. So I'll do a very quick recap, all right? I went to an engineering college for 3 weeks, left that and joined the Merchant Navy. I trained for 1 year, sailed for 2 years, total 3 years. At 20, I quit that, started working as an intern in a production house, left that job at 23 and decided I'd be a freelance scriptwriter. Spent 2 years learning the art of filmmaking, working in an office with Nagesh Kukunur, then going to somebody else's house to learn scriptwriting. At 25, I had written a script. I was ready to direct it. And 1 month before we started shoot, I left that and went to act in a film. I did that and came back to direct my own film, but after 10 days of shooting that film got shelved. We ran out of money. There was a problem with the producer. So at 25, where I was thinking I would write and direct a film, and I will also act in a film, 2 films, 1 year, best debut actor, best debut director, writer, awards in the bag. That would be my launch in Bollywood. And this was what, 2013. So basically both those films got shelved, and I was back at the starting line. I went from directing a film for 5 crores to producing a travel show for 10 lakh rupees. But honestly, I didn't regret a single day of it. I was already used to working with my hands, getting down, getting dirty. But the beauty of this show was I traveled across India, learning, training Indian martial arts, ethnic sports, and I got a chance to sit quietly on the ghats of Varanasi, the backwaters of Kerala, next to the rivers in Punjab. I was feeling bad, my movie career hasn't really taken off, but also feeling grateful at the same time that at least somebody had faith in me to hire me for this project. Then came a moment in my life that I would like to call a life-changing moment. I remember sitting with one of my old bosses, talking about technology and how it's taking over everything. We had just one line, a thought. What if Google decided to use all your information against you? And we came up with a show. I wrote and acted in a show called A.I. Aisha, My Virtual Girlfriend, about an app developer who creates an AI in the form of a desktop assistant. And of course, she goes evil and starts killing people. And this was in the year 2015. It was just like my warning to the world that AI is coming for you. We had a shoestring budget to make the first season. We shot 6 episodes in like 10, 11 days. I used every trick possible to pull off what seemed impossible in that given time, in that budget. And luckily, that show went on to win 11 international awards across the globe. It was loved and appreciated by a small but very loyal audience. And for the first time in my life, I took a pause and I thought, man, I really love doing this. The feeling of watching so many people come together to bring your dream to reality is amazing. Even though writing is a very, very lonely job, you're sitting alone with a laptop in a dark room, but the payoff of being on set and watching all these words come to life that you've written alone is magical. I felt in control for the first time. I can write something for myself, I can also act in it. All these years of confusion, trying different things, and feeling scattered now suddenly made sense. I became thankful for all the failed, unreleased projects, and trust me, there are lots of them, because they prepared me to make this show to the best of my abilities. The list of your failures, wrong choices, bad decisions will always be longer than the good ones. That's just how life works. Maybe someone in my place would regret going to the Merchant Navy, right? Instead of going to a reputed film school to learn filmmaking. But I would never change a thing about my past. Being a sailor gave me the mental and physical endurance to survive in the entertainment industry, where you often hear about burnouts, fatigue, stress. Trust me, I've never felt any of those. Since time travel hasn't been invented yet, it's a waste of time regretting any of your past choices. Instead, I urge you to find a way to make those choices work in your favor. It's just a matter of shifting your perspective. I'll give you a token about perspective. I wrote two different stories of adoption in two different projects. One where a terrorist radicalizes a young boy enough to go against his own parents and then attack the army. It was based on the surgical strikes of 2016. The show is called Avrodh. And the other, where a old, lonely tailor, played by Shakti Kapoor, adopts an orphan and helps him train to go to the army. This project was called Bravehearts. It's on YouTube. You can check it out. Now, if I was a rigid person, I wouldn't have the ability to write two different ends of the same spectrum. The stories are still about adoption, but the end result is diametrically opposite. One child causes destruction and the other learns to be a savior. It's just a matter of perspective. It was widely believed that the human brain only develops till the age of 18, like the physical brain. But neuroscience has proved that that theory is totally false. Research on brain plasticity now suggests that we can create new neural pathways at any age to learn a new skill set. It might not be easy, it might not be as easy as it was when you were young, but it's totally possible to learn something extremely complicated even at a later stage in your life. Repetition and focused attention is the only thing that's required. This means that every time we say something like, you know, मैं तो ऐसा ही हूँ यार, this is who I am, we're actually limiting ourselves, not giving ourselves a chance to grow, to break that mold, to become something more. You have to understand that we're obsessed with the destination and the end goal. But the truth is that you got to learn to enjoy the journey. This voice in our head, it's mostly critical. You should have done this. You should have worked harder. You should have, could have, would have. It's always going on. So how do we change that tone of the voice in our head? I've got an idea for you. Imagine talking to your best friend who's in some deep trouble. Something terrible that he or she has done, caused harm to someone accidentally, or hurt someone that they love dearly. How are you going to talk to them? With love? Compassion? You'd probably say to your best friend, you know what? It's okay, man. You made a bad judgment call. It was a mistake. And this does not define the rest of your life. मजा आता है ना दूसरों को advice देने में. We are so good at giving other people advice, but we are terrible at applying it to ourselves. So, from now onwards, when you talk to yourself like you're talking to your best friend who's in trouble. Be kind, be patient, don't be rude. You'll find yourself dealing with stress and pressure a lot better than before. And slowly but surely, you start enjoying being yourself a little more. Remember the movies that I was telling you about that got shelved in 2013? There's a wonderful story about that. On one of those films, I met an assistant director who, just like me, was very fond of science fiction. We used to talk endlessly about how we wish we could write and direct futuristic, high concept science fiction movies and shows. And we always stayed in touch. We had a real connection. She was the happiest person when she saw that I'd made Aisha my virtual girlfriend. She said, you know, I'm celebrating this victory of yours like it's my own. And years later, like 6-7 years later in 2020, during the thick of the pandemic, I got a call from the same friend. She said, I've written a short film. It's very complicated. It's science fiction. It's mind-bending concept. But you're the only person who can play the male lead, according to me. And I just want to tell you, there's no money at all for actors. I've put my own money in it, and I want to use each and every rupee that I have for the film and what it needs. None of the crew members are getting paid either, and by now I was already doing a couple of shows. I was about to act in a Dharma film called Rocky Aur Rani Ki Prem Kahani. So my manager, I had just got a manager then, And some close people suggested, maybe let this one pass. Yeah, a short film, hai, kya hai? And as soon as I read the script, I called her back and I said, tell me where and when, I'll be there. Did workshops for a week, rehearsals, shot the entire short film over multiplay, shot the entire short film over multiple days without ever thinking I'm not getting paid. In fact, I felt privileged to be approached for a role that was perfect for me. That movie is called Entanglement. I will give you the link, please watch it. And it was sent to film festivals across the world, and it got selected in multiple festivals, won an award in December 2025 for the best short film of the year on the biggest short film platform that's called Shorted India. But this isn't the reason I'm telling you the story. In 2024 March, 3 years later, when this film had been made, I'd forgotten everything about it. My friend, who had already spent all her money on sending this film to festivals and doing the production, said, you know, I have just enough money for one screening. We will do one screening in Bombay. And she invited some key people from the industry. One of the two directors of the biggest show in the country came to watch it. It's called The Family Man. Um, that director loved the performance so much that he called the casting director and asked him to audition me for a key role in the third season of The Family Man. That's the story how, honestly, that's the story of how I got the role that has literally changed my life. And it's not because I'm a good actor, I think it's more because I was a decent friend. I never thought coincidences will help my career, because that only happens to other people, you know, who get noticed at a party, they're dancing and some director sees them. But here I am, man. Yet again finding that just like Jon Snow in Game of Thrones, I know nothing. So in a creative field, I would suggest never become an expert, always remain a student. Just like me, I'm hoping the dots of your past will also connect and shape your future. Because life is unpredictable, it's tough. It actually takes everything out of you to follow your own passion, right? But it can also surprise you in the best ways possible, only if you're open and willing to listen. So don't shut yourself, don't be rigid. And like Bruce Lee famously said, empty your mind, be formless, shapeless, like water. Now you put the water in a cup, it becomes the cup. You put the water in a bottle, it becomes the bottle. You put it in a teapot, it becomes the teapot. Water can flow, it can crash. Be water, my friend. Thank you.